Hey, guess who's back? It's your friendly neighborhood Cyber. What's going on, everybody? I have not been on in a while. I do apologize for that. There's been a lot of personal things going on in my life. Been trying to get those straightened out with. Some good news, I will be relocating to North Carolina here in about 2 months and hopefully get to meet up with one of my good friends, Mugger Baby. Hope you watch this video, man. Haven't talked to you in a while, and I hope I get a hold of you soon, man. But I have got to say, for my first video back on YouTube, if I'm able to get this uploaded, which if you're watching it right now, that means I was able to. I gotta say, I just want to say, hey, what's up? Talk a little about what's going on right now. I'm not going to be able to watch any of the pay-per-views coming up here. Lockdown tomorrow, uh, WrestleMania in April. You know, ain't going to be able to do it where I'm moving down to North Carolina and everything. However, though, with the shows that have been going on in TNA and WWE, I am somewhat impressed. I can't really complain, but it's not the best work that they've done in a while. Uh, I gotta say that some of the things that they're doing I don't necessarily like, but then again, I don't necessarily disagree with them saying. It's I'm a bit conflicted on the things that have been going on lately, but for the most part, everything seems to be going to my liking. I have no reason to complain. Um, I was watching some of Mugger Baby's videos earlier today, and he was going on about how there's been a lot of people complaining over CM Punk versus The Undertaker. Now, in my personal opinion, I think those people are crazy. I love CM Punk. I don't care if he's a good guy, bad guy. The guy is the best thing since the Attitude Era. He's WWE sorely needed him, in my opinion. Granted, there are other guys there that are just as good an in-ring competitor as CM Punk is, but CM Punk's skills on the mic just overshadow everyone else, I feel. I personally do not like John Cena because I've met him in person, and to me, well, the interaction that I had with him, he just doesn't act like the same person that he portrays on TV. And I understand that that's just a character, but when you're dealing with your fans, you should at least try to stay in character when you're dealing with your fans, especially if you're at a live event. Um, but nonetheless, I mean, I'm going to take in considering that he probably is having a rough day or something, but I'm going back to what I was talking about. Um, yeah, CM Punk versus The Undertaker. I was a little upset at first when he first lost the WWE title, but then I remembered that there had been rumors going on that they were thinking about having CM Punk face The Undertaker. And then I was like, well, you know what? That would be the best reasoning, in my opinion, for him to lose the title, would be to go on and face Undertaker. Um, I gotta say that I'm a little sad that I'm not going to be able to see that match. Um, I'm in, I was interested to see what Triple H does to Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania, and I gotta say, if I was able to watch WrestleMania, the only match I probably wouldn't watch is The Rock versus John Cena, for the simple fact I know John Cena's going to win, and I'm over Cena. I'm just over him. TNA now. I am so proud of the stuff that TNA has been doing. The Aces and Eights get put down all the time because they're called just, another NWO. NWO is awesome, and they can't just create a new NWO in TNA, so the next best thing, Aces and Eights. Um, you got D'Lo Brown now as the vice president of the club. Interesting twist. Very interesting twist. You got people on the corporate side of TNA moving along into the Aces and Eights, just like with the NWO, like with Eric Bischoff. Now, I've noticed that this past Thursday on Impact, when they were trying to chase down AJ Styles, Ken Anderson, if you look really closely, you can see it's Ken Anderson talking to AJ. Now, one of two things is happening. Now, I strongly believe that Jeff Jarrett's the president of the club, but it's a possibility it could be AJ Styles. On the offhand that it is AJ Styles, there's a lot of stuff they can run with that. Going on about, hey, Hogan was the one that did the, incentive for him to do the match where he gave up his right to do the world title and all that. On the other hand, Jeff Jarrett's got claims, as far as story for him to be president too. I do feel, however, that AJ will be in the aces and eights no matter what. So things are looking up and up for TNA. Next week they go on the road full time. They're in San Antonio tomorrow for lockdown. And Slammiversary will be in Boston, Massachusetts. So, I mean, they're looking up. A lot of people say that they're moving too quickly. But, I mean, even though WWE's, their things quite aren't as good as they could be, it's still good enough to where they can make TNA sweat. And TNA needs to do everything that they possibly can to not beat necessarily, but stay right up in the same category as WWE. I personally feel that TNA is the best thing to happen as far because they help push WWE, even though WWE doesn't really quite acknowledge them. And WWE, of course, there's that strive for TNA to be the best. I don't think that we'll ever see Sting in the WWE. I think that's long gone. Even though Sting had been talking to the WWE, TNA is growing way too rapidly for Sting to just up and leave. It would devastate TNA. Maybe not forever, but it would hurt them long enough. It hurt them long enough to knock them back a few pegs. So with that being said, Sting's not going to leave. One thing I do want to bring up, it's a little bit of old news, but I noticed on eWrestlingNews.com, Buff Bagwell apparently, according to the sources I've been reading, has been lying out his ass about his relationship, or lack of one, with Eric Bischoff. The TNA he's a TNA talent representative now, and apparently a few months ago he quoted as saying that him and Eric Bischoff had been talking, and that he was going to go there, and that he had talked to Sting and things like that. Apparently a few weeks ago, Eric Bischoff posted on his Twitter that he had never spoken with Buff Bagwell, and that there was no talks whatsoever about him coming into TNA. Then Then after that, Buff Bagwell decided to say that he had never spoken to Eric Bischoff, that he had talked to Sting about him possibly going into TNA, but nothing officially was said. So if something had been said, Buff Bagwell officially knocked himself out of ever being in TNA again, because Eric Bischoff is the guy that decides who gets hired and who doesn't in TNA. I mean, that he is the head honcho of the talent now. And there's no way Buff Bagwell will ever see him in TNA now because of what he has said. I have no doubt in my mind that he might have talked to Sting. Him and Sting are good, old WCW buddies. I've met Buff Bagwell in person back in about 2006, 2007. It was at a live event, and he looked horrible. I mean, he was buff and everything, he's the Buff Bagwell. But he looked like, I don't know, his eyes and everything, he had looked like he'd been doing drugs and stuff. And he still does. I mean, I guarantee you, even if he had gone down there, if they, had gone through it, he still wouldn't have been in TNA. The guy will not lay off the drugs. And I know some people are going to mention, well, what about Jeff Hardy? He did drugs too. He's still there. He's the world champion. Jeff Hardy sought after help to get off drugs. So that's a completely another situation there. I got to say, I'm going to go ahead and get off here. I'm going to try to get this uploaded onto YouTube through my computer and everything. I got to say, it was a pleasure being back on YouTube if I can get this uploaded. And, like me on Facebook, follow me on Twitter, like my video, subscribe, and remember, it's a good old neighborhood cyber. Peace.